Before we get to the bot framework, though, you can see that we've got different capabilities inside Azure, from information management, which includes things like Data Factory, which you can think of as SSIS for the cloud, our big data stores with cool names like data lakes, as well as our SQL data warehousing capabilities. We then get onto more platform as a service kind of things like machine learning and analytics, so machine learning, the data lake analytics, the HD Insight, which is kind of in-memory analytics along with stream analytics. And these things all then build up to our either software as a service like Dynamics 365, or the really advanced platform as a service capabilities like cognitive services, which I'll give you some examples of. The bot framework, though, leverages our cognitive services. So it leverages things like language and intention and so on. So let me quickly give you an example of this and show you how a bot service can work. So what we have here is a bot running against my Skype. It's called the Knowledge Bot. And I'm going to talk to it. Can everyone see my screen? Maybe, Steve, give me a verbal cue if everything's fine there.
It's just come up.
Okay, great. So I'll try and type slowly. But basically, I'm saying hello to the bot. The bot says hello. It can do some things, like I can say, tell me a joke. And obviously, because it's using some of our cognitive services, I can even make spelling mistakes, and it'll know that that was a spelling mistake. So that's great. It can then go and I can use different words. So tell me something funny versus tell me a joke. So really great in that I don't need to get the things exactly right in order to search the knowledge base. It's more intelligent than that, and it also learns over time. So Kevin, yes, it does actually use Microsoft bots. It does use some of the bot framework in our cognitive services. So let's go and ask it more intelligent questions, because now what I can do is I can say, let's say, what is the weather like? So now what it's going to do is, obviously it had a joke database that it was using for the jokes, but it's actually using a Bing knowledge graph to look at the weather. Obviously now this bot thinks that I'm in San Jose, but obviously it can be more intelligence around that and tell me where the weather is in London and so on. The other data source that this bot is aware of is it's aware of a data source inside CRM. So it's basically plugged into a CRM knowledge base. So let's say that I am chatting to my mechanic bot. I want to know, how do I change a light bulb on my car? So it's going into the database, and in fact it finds the necessary article, says you can change it by doing this. It provides a screen, an image of that, and then also it gives me a little score that says it thinks about 54% that this is the article that was going to answer my question. I can also then say, that didn't answer my question, or things like that, and it'll even go and log cases inside Dynamics CRM. So it'll give me the case reference number and those kind of things. But we can get even more creative. So we can go and do things like, why don't we try and find out if we're in a banking scenario? So let's just change mindset a little bit and say, imagine this was me talking to my bank, and this is really because, let's say, I'm curious as to what my account balance is. What is my account balance? I see Connor's being smart there. But really what this is saying now is that I can't just give you my account balance. I need to authenticate. So I'm going to click the authenticate button, which is going to launch me into a browser. I don't necessarily need to show you guys this, but basically it's just launching me to an Azure website, which is going to do some authentication, which is basically my banking authentication, just in this demo scenario. So I'm clicking login, and now I've logged in. Again, Skype for Business is going to say I'm authenticated. And now I can ask things like, what is my account balance? Hopefully you guys can see again. So now that I've authenticated against my bank, it's now willing to give me my account balance. It's like, which account is this? My current, my savings, or my wedding? I can go into savings, and it's actually coming back and saying, here's your account balance. I've got £24. It can show me my latest transactions. I can make payments, and you get the idea here is that really apps are dying. A couple of the slides that we'll touch on now explain why that is, and it's a much more intuitive experience for me to deal with a bot. It's able to dip into these things. It's able to respond. I don't need to wait for an agent and get frustrated by being put on hold. But maybe when I can't speak to an agent, these kind of scenarios can then, if the bot can't answer my questions, then we can get transferred to a real human being. So really cool. Love the fact that we're able to move to this now. There's something called Bot Framework, which is available. And if you just go and look at that, I'll also include it in some of the resources that we provide to Steve. Start including this with the kind of scenarios you're thinking with your customers, and yeah, let's get creative. I see there's some questions here on where's this pulling the data from. So Kartik, the knowledge base information was out of CRM knowledge base. The first time we did it was with Parature, but it's now out of this CRM online knowledge base. The joke and the Bing stuff was out of the Bing graph. So when the language engine determines what your intention is, then it decides where to go. And as part of the bot framework, you kind of tell it which engines there are and what to do with which intention. So if it picks up an intention to get sales data, then it could show you the sales data. You're able to actually plug that into Cortana. So even on your Windows 10 device, you could do things like Cortana, show me my sales data. So I see this banking bot has now joined the conversation here as well. But the point is, you can use the bot to do whatever you want, but it really works well in a lot of customer engagement scenarios. So when I'm doing service, when I'm doing sales, those kind of scenarios. So think about it and leverage it where it makes sense. Right, we got to move. So here are some of the examples around what the cognitive services provide. So there's 4 key areas. One is vision. So you can submit an image to our cognitive services, and then it's able to say, this is a happy person, or this is a phone, this is a chair. It can do all sorts of different things around recognizing faces and all sorts of different things. Think about recognizing what version of a product you're using as well, so that again, taking out the poor pieces of a customer experience. Then there's language, so the ability to understand conversation and what is the intent and what is like the linguistic. Is this a question? Is this a statement? Am I angry? Then there's speech, which is human speech, so that we can talk to it, also in multiple different languages as well. And then there's actually knowledge as well. So if I'm asking questions and dipping into knowledge bases and coming back with those kind of things as well, and it learns over time. You'd have to check the data, the website Stenzel, as to which languages are supported, but there are a load, and it's different. So for language and speech, there are different languages supported. But obviously, we're moving at great pace, and if you see some of the Skype for Business or Skype, I think it's a standard Skype thing that allows you to kind of talk in one language, and people will hear another language on the other side. There's a great video of a Mexican and American school having conversations between the kids in their own native languages, which will just blow your mind. So again, the cognitive services, some really good stuff. What we can do is through some of the vision stuff, it used to be called Project Oxford, but it's now just part of our cognitive services. You can then have someone walk into a retail store. We can see, oh, we think it's a male, probably aged about 39. Is he happy? Is he sad? And we can, maybe measure or even identify the person. You could, if that was something legally allowed, and then you could go and see, are they having a good experience or a bad experience? If they go through different parts of the retail store, are they enjoying what they're doing in those different scenarios? And then, obviously, the possibilities are endless around displaying the right content for the type of age we think someone is, and it'll give you a results on confidence as well. So 90% sure we think this is a 39-year-old male, for example. So really good scenarios around all of these. Once you're up crawling and your customers have got their basic, CRM capabilities in place, the business value on these cognitive services is huge. So I encourage you to go and check out a lot more. The bots thing is interesting, and I was probably a bit preemptive in showing you it, but you can really understand that with the number of apps that are out there, and if you look at the shift from PC to internet to mobile, this kind of conversational and natural user interface, which bots is just an example of, but so is speech and voice. It is really something that we see as a massive technology shift, and probably something that's typically once in a decade. So this is definitely something that's only going to gather more and more pace, and the people who kind of embrace it will be those left standing at the end of the day, and those left will be, you know, the taxi drivers who didn't see Uber coming, for example, is kind of the way we see it. So really go check it out. Satya, our CEO, has been a massive proponent of bots and so on for the last year or so. So really go get stuck in. And I think another thing that does drive this kind of natural user interface is app fatigue, is what I've heard people call it, and I think it's quite an entertaining term and also quite apt, in that there's 3.6 million apps out on Android App Store, iOS, and the Windows stores, and you know, people just don't really install as many apps as they used to. They're sick and tired of jumping between all of these things. If you had one place to go, where would it be? And I guess the point is, if you look at the monthly mobile usage, now this is from 2015, would probably find these numbers are even more in favor of what we're talking about here. But the majority of apps that people use are all about conversation and IM. So it's Facebook, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, Mail, Google Mail, Twitter. Now, if you think about that, those are the channels that people want to engage on. And if we create these bots, suddenly you can light up Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, Gmail, etc., etc. And there's no need for this kind of app scenario necessarily anymore. And it's really easy for people to engage with those things, and it's a low barrier to entry. It crosses devices, and it's a really good user experience as well. So definitely something worth plugging into from our perspective. So that's the bot framework. I will definitely provide some links towards it and encourage you to get stuck in. Sometimes we refer to it as conversations as a platform, because we like. So my video auto played over there, and this is just another example of a bot. I hope you can all see it, but you get the idea. This is just a different scenario of someone trying to find a coffee store. It then brings up a store. It then asks them if they want to order. They order their coffee straight through the bot, and then they arrive and their coffee's waiting for them around the corner, which is just the future of where these user experiences could be. Did everyone get to see that video okay? Cool. So we'll move that quite on, but I think you guys definitely get the picture on bots and how it can really change user experience. So here's a bad example of a bot from one of our competitors in RVS, and there's just lots and lots of examples of bots taking over, and it's not about them replacing jobs, it's about really augmenting our capabilities and optimizing what we're doing. There's lots and lots of different use cases. We're talking about delighting customers and driving down costs and those kind of things, but I think, again, you guys get all of these. One thing that is interesting is a lot of people are like, well, they don't want to let a bot loose on their customers, which makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't either. So the blue box is really a good place to start around internal bots. So probably cost effective to get off the ground, leverage a bot internally for maybe a call center or a small internal team to start using the bots, especially in call centers where there's large churn, which is typical. Suddenly, you know, these agents are able to learn faster and get access to information. They're not taking away time from the more experienced agents, and then the bot's learning as it goes. And as the bot gets more and more intelligent and learns, then it's maybe more apt to release that to your customers and get them to reap the benefits as well. And then there's obviously the ideas around authenticated bots, as well as some more advanced scenarios as well. So really compelling scenarios over there. As I said, I'll provide all of this, but there's the develop SDK, there's a little connector, and you can see over there it can connect to things like Slack, Skype, Facebook, text, SMS. One of you mentioned Microsoft Teams, so it's not an official connector that I can see. However, you know, being a big competitor to Slack, you get the scenarios, and there's a whole bunch of different bot directories that we have as examples as well. I will provide all these developer resources for you as well. And then here's some more examples of those cognitive services. There's a great video of one of our UK resources who works at Microsoft here that's using cognitive services to help him with his site. And it's a really great video that pulls at the heartstrings a little bit around helping him see what's going around him, and it uses a lot of our cognitive services. You may have seen it.